Good afternoon, everyone, and good morning, good evening. My name is Heng. Today is Saturday, October 11th, here in the Gold Coast of Queensland. It's a Friday evening back in California, and it's still a Saturday morning in Taiwan, China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia. Glad you're here with us today. I've got some amazing stories to share with you about our teacher's teacher, our grand teacher, Master Empty Cloud. Today, some of the things that happen are unforgettable, I must say. So I hope to I brought some pictures to illustrate the story, and we'll get into it as soon as we complete our preliminary requirements, our liturgy for Dharma talks. So Elaine is going to request Dharma today. So I'm going to ring the bell 3 times, invite you to join me in making 3 half bows right from where you're sitting, and then we'll begin. Here we go. 一问讯, 再问讯, 三问讯. Okay. Elaine, if you'd like to go ahead and request Dharma, please do it now.
恭请大德圣听，为此法会及一切众生，请转了法轮，教导我们如何了生脱死离苦得乐，殊真无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to live suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death, and quickly will lie non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto suchedoye olahadi samya samputoshe.
Namo saddhato sujedoye arahati samya sambuddhoshe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. All right, Elaine, appreciate the Dharma request. Thank you for that. And I would like to mention, 如果各位你们想听普通话一种翻译，那个软件的控制板右下角 interpretation 你们看到了没有？那里有 Chinese 就可以了就可以听到流利的这个普通话。So anybody who would like to hear a Vietnamese translation of today's lecture or Chinese, the Chinese is available down in the corner of your control panel. It says interpretation. Underneath that there'll be a Chinese link, and one of our volunteers is kindly giving up part of his Saturday afternoon to put my English words into Chinese. Likewise, if you would like to hear a Vietnamese translation, go to the chat box. You'll find a Vietnamese link. Also, anybody who would like to request Dharma, as Elaine just did, send an email over to Chanyu, our fearless coordinator. She will set you up. That is Dr. Chanyu, PhD, mind you. So she keeps us in line and lets us know when the lectures are happening. So send her an email and she'll set you up to request Dharma. All right, let's see here. We would like to acknowledge country, especially respectfully acknowledge the Kombu Meri people, the Ugambi language region. That's where we are here in southeast Queensland. As traditional storytellers and custodians of the land where the monastery is located, we pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. In Chinese, it goes like this. We say, 我们恭敬地承认与冈贝语族的孔布玛丽人，是我们这里这个道场冷眼上寺所在地的传统叙事者和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有从来没有放弃主权的第一民族的原住民致敬。Okay, now the last item we have on our liturgy to begin our lecture is the bell song. People are welcome to join in with me. We have a beautiful Yinqing made in Taiwan, which is just spectacularly clear sound. Here we go. Bell sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000界内，佛法扬万里国土，共训其法界平，利益报他no后德。Okay, there we go. Yes. Now, we've got 80 friends with us already. Let's get a sense of where we're all coming from. Our co-host is in Ukiah, as the Dharma requester was. Let's see. Our translator is here in the Gold Coast of Queensland. Let's see here. We have Alec from Singapore, who's on his way to do a 10-day silent retreat. Oh boy. Let's see here. We have Mr. Ao from Brisbane, Barbara from Talmadge, Brian from Campbell. Some great stories coming up today. Celeste in Hong Kong. Let's see here. Mr. Zhao in Vancouver. Mr. Ni in Heilongjiang. Duke Leban's in Montreal. We have friends in Tracy, California, San Jose. Up in Oregon, Jan is here. Berkeley Hills, Northern California, Los Altos. Jakarta, Indonesia. Okay, Jin Yong Shi is here every week. Appreciate that support. Friends from Malaysia, from Alameda, from Kansas, from San Rafael, from New York City, Chinatown. Singapore, from Ohio. Okay, doesn't say where in Ohio. If you tell me you're from Toledo, say hello especially. From San Francisco, from St. Petersburg, Florida, Taipei, let's see here, Alameda, Mesa, Arizona, Calgary, 2 friends from Calgary, Sydney, Elk Grove, Oklahoma, San Jose, Oakland, let's see, Ukiah, all right, friends from Australia. See here, then we switch over. Come from places known as Beijing and Harbin and Liaoning and Shandong and Liaoning, Xini, 那就是澳大利亚，西安、黑龙江哪里？安徽、浙江、南海、陕西、吉林，东北人多，安徽、深圳、北京 ，Dayton, Ohio. OK， 那我知道了 ，Dayton。OK， 欢迎。湖北黄冈。Let's see here. 哪里？海宁，浙江海宁。河北唐山。Calgary， 云南。昆明。今天的故事就是在昆明那里。很有趣啊。北京。We have the story is centered in Kunming, Yunnan, and one of our audience is from there today. Harbin, 浙江。Let's see. 南京。哪里？还有珠海辽宁，广东 ，OK， 一个南方人，黑龙江、深圳 ，OK， 苏州 ，OK， 江苏 and 河南。There, wow, people from, I tell you, we're popular in China. This event is it's excellent. So happy to be able to bring the Dharma back using the internet around the world. Okay. Now, the stories I'm going to tell you today focus on travel. We have an amazing experience of travel. Here it is, right there. Scripture Journey, it's called. So let me show you, if you can make this a little bigger. There we go. Okay, so where are we here? This is Malaysia, and it's actually Penang, Bingchang. So this is, our story begins in Penang, where we've had a lot of drama. We've had an attempted murder of a monk in Penang. We had the death of our teacher's teacher, Master Miao Jing, in Penang. Last week we looked at Jilo Si, Ultimate Bliss Monastery, a real famous, iconic center for Buddhism in Penang. Master Empty Cloud entered samadhi, entered seclusion. 他就闭关. It was called an expedient seclusion, which means he could still see a few people if he needed to. He could still, and you could contact him. The standard seclusion is 3 years, 3 months, 3 days, and you don't come out. But this was an expedient seclusion. And when the time was up, he had to continue his journey. What's the journey about? He has a Tripitaka. He has a Dazangjing. The Tripitaka is over 100 volumes. It takes carts to carry this one book. You could call it a book. It's 100 volumes of a single book, but it's the Buddhist, some people would call it the Buddhist Bible. That's not accurate, but it kind of gives you a sense of what's involved, right? So 100 volumes of Buddhist books. He has to get them to his destination, which is where? Look at the land he has to cover. He has to go up to Thailand. He has to get on a boat heading for where? Rangoon. Rangoon, in what used to be called Burma. Now it's called Myanmar. But Rangoon, Yangon, there it is, that's just the kickoff point for today's story. But he has to cover all this distance. And then once he gets to Burma, look what else has to happen. He has to go overland all the way out to Yunnan province. His destination is Jizushan, there. Now let's back out. You can see how far this is. And he's got tons of books, maybe a ton of books, that he has to carry all that way. And he is a monk on foot. This is a penniless Buddhist monk who owns a robe and, you know, like the inner robe and then 3 sashes and then a bowl. That's what he owns. And somehow, purely with the strength of his mind, he's going to carry this Tripitaka all the way out to Jizushan. He made a vow, because this is in Yunnan province. When he got there a few years ago, Buddhism had decayed. Buddhism had declined. Monks were accepting bribes. They were not following the Vinaya. People weren't cultivating. The precepts weren't being transmitted. Sutras are not being lectured on. So Master Empty Cloud got there and said, this won't do. I'm going to reform the situation. Now, in the process, he went to Beijing with a petition, because people told him not only were Buddhist events not taking place Rufa, according to Dharma, in Yunnan, furthermore, bandits dressed up as the government, or you could say it the other way around, government officials who behaved like bandits were confiscating monasteries. Monks were being thrown in jail so that their temples could be stolen from them. So Master Empty Cloud went to the emperor and to the Empress Dowager Cixi, and he had really good street credentials, street cred. He had really good reputation in the royal court because of the way he protected the Empress Dowager Cixi Taiho, and the young emperor when the Boxer Rebellion broke out. So as a result, the courtiers, the officials in the Forbidden City, threaded him through the bureaucracy so that the emperor issued an edict that said, stop stealing Buddhist properties in Yunnan or else. And with that official edict, the lawlessness in Yunnan and the disaster of Buddhism that was going on stopped. So now, then the next thing that happened was the emperor said, meanwhile, take this Tripitaka back to Yunnan. We'll send you with a copy of the Longzang, which is the Dragon Tripitaka, the absolutely fabulous edition of the Buddhist books. Okay, so the government money got the Longzang, got the Tripitaka to Penang. His money ran out. He had to somehow transport this very heavy collection of Buddhist books all the way to Yunnan. How's he going to do it? All right, that's where our story begins today. Here it is. Okay. Feng Longzang Hui Guo Si. That's the title. It's 1909. And it's interesting, other things happened the same year that we're going to be interested in just a minute. Taking the imperial Tripitaka back to the country and temple. He's 70 years old. Ready? Here we go. Here's the story. 己有70岁，共有宾用经，至仰光，万邦高万邦居士。皆至家，月余送瓦城，赠卧玉佛，到新街，祭观云听，故驮马300余，人马同行，击打千众，进腾越，下关，各地方军有迎接，省数10日，审平安。Okay? In 1909, the master's 70th year, he traveled with the imperial Tripitaka from Penang to Rangoon, where he was received by Upasaka Gao Wan Bang at his home. The master stayed there for over a month and then was escorted by Upasaka Gao to Mandalay, where the latter donated a reclining jade Buddha. Ordinarily you'd go, oh good, that's really good news, except you know how much a reclining jade Buddha weighs? It's a gift that creates its own difficulties, but those difficulties must be resolved. At Xinjie, the master enshrined the statue at Guanyin Pavilion and later hired more than 300 pack horses to carry the Tripitaka along with men to lead them. 300 horses. They passed through Tengyue and Xiaguan, and at every step along the way, people came to welcome them and escort the caravan of 1,000 men and horses. They traveled for several weeks, and their journey proceeded smoothly. All right. Now, you know why this is possible? Because the king of Thailand gave him enough money to hire 300 horses and 1,000 men to guide them. That's how the Tripitaka made its way back to Yunnan. I mean, right? Think about that. This is a penniless monk who's got all this, he's got the wealth of nations now, getting the Tripitaka to Yunnan. Shifu's verse. 仰光护法高万邦，财力20非寻常。堪接末法人多障，再入高君境无双。The Dharma protector from Rangoon, layman Gao Wanbang, donated both his wealth and his efforts. How rare a man was he! Alas, that in this sad Dharma-ending age, people experience many obstructions. You won't find another person like Mr. Gao. So what happened? So here's the route again, remind you, set out from Penang, wound up in Rangoon. So far, so good with the Tripitaka by sea. So all those books on a boat wound up in Rangoon. Now, he's in Rangoon, which is certainly a Buddhist nation, but he's going to need help to get it any further. So a layman shows up. Mr. Gao invites Master Empty Cloud to his home for a month. And now, for a monk to live in a layman's home, there are criteria. You can't do it for more than 3 nights officially under a layman's roof, unless it's a special sacred space, like a temple outbuilding. So for Mr. Gao, that's no problem. He puts up, Empty Cloud was given the conditions he needed to rest and get everything together, finding 300 horses, finding 1,000 men in Burma to travel with the Tripitaka. All right, now, we heard the word Mandalay. Let's take a look here. Where is Mandalay? Mandalay is, let's see here, Scripture Journey. Okay. Here is, oh, I know. I was looking for, my Mandalay page got lost in my MapQuest. Okay. So, here's Mandalay. So inside of Burma, here is Mandalay. Now, Rangoon is down here. Here's Yangon. There's Rangoon. This is where Master Empty Cloud is. And Master Gao accompanied Shulao to Mandalay up here, halfway. It's midway in Burma. So Mandalay is halfway here. Here's, people know the song about the road to Mandalay where the flying fishes play, right? So Mandalay is the city that has the highest, they consider the most traditional Burmese culture. There was, you see some of these photos of Mandalay. There were imperial households who came and went here. But I wanted to share with people another place which is close to Mandalay, where I have been, called Pagan. Pagan, Myanmar, Burma, also known as Bagan, show you where it is. It's on the Irrawaddy River. This is, okay, so here is Pagan, here's Mandalay. So Master Empty Cloud went through Mandalay. They don't mention Pagan in the biography, but Pagan is an amazing city where, see if we've got, where in the 11th and 12th century, a separate dynasty was established in Pagan that ruled for hundreds of years, and the king of the Pagan dynasty emptied his treasury to build Buddhist stupas. Unbelievable. In this day, I was able to travel to Pagan to see, oops, here we go. To see if you can, we'll blow this up so people can see, the 1,200 Buddhist stupas that still exist on the banks of the Irrawaddy River. Here's a bus going by. the king, this is one of the 7 wonders of the world. These stupas, at the time when the Pagan dynasty was there, they weren't entirely Theravada. They were celebrating Mahayana Theravada, any kind of Buddhism, because Burmese culture had no written language until Buddhism arrived. So you look at all, count them on the horizon, how many stupas you see. Each one of these was paid for and created by the Burmese king at the time. And it's astonishing. They're at the University of Rangoon now, they have an entire department investigating the architectural, the methods by which these ancient Buddhists built these stupas. What kind of cement, what kind of grout did they use? Who cut the stones? Who designed these pagodas that have survived for 1,000 years? And it's still a question. How, there's still some incredible architectural secrets that were part of the creation of these stupas. So if anybody is able, right now Burma is in a political crisis, but if you get a chance to visit at some point, don't miss the opportunity to go to Pagan, otherwise known as Bagan, to see these stupas that are just astonishing. And we had a guide when we were there. We were there in 1983, and a young Burmese monk gave us the tour, and he said, now, I want you to see the Ananda Pagoda. So we went to the pagoda known as Yananda Pagoda, right there. And we found Guanyin Bodhisattva, a Guanyin image was in this land that is considered the heartland of Theravada, right? Look at these stupas. 1,200 of them still exist. Many of them you can't travel into, you can't climb them because they are, because the people would, tourists would destroy them pretty much. Pagan Burma. I want to give you some more of these photos. Here we go. The Pagan Kingdom. Here is, you can see when the kings of Pagan ruled, right here, they were superseded later by the kings of Mandalay, where Master Empty Cloud showed up. But nonetheless, the Pagan kingdom was really influential. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. They had, let's see here. Okay, this is what I wanted people to see. That's the landscape. All of these are pagodas, right? Incredible. How were they built? How did they come together? This is the morning view in Pagan. Clearly, it's a Buddhist fairyland. How do you describe it? And yet, outside of Burmese travel, people don't know about Pagan. When we were allowed, because we had a monk as our guide, to go up to the top of some of the larger stupas, the larger pagodas, but there were this tiny circular staircases that you could barely turn your body to get up to the top. But when you get to the top, you can see the plain with 1,100, 1,200 stupas all built. All right, so Master Empty Cloud got to Mandalay, and that was when Mr. Gao's returned back to Rangoon. Okay, here we are. This is the the Nianpu. This is Master Empty Cloud's autobiography, giving more details, filling in the details. So what did he say? He said, 我与槟城与云京起行，地阳光高王邦居士道街，六柱高家粤语，亲自送至瓦城。高居士在阳光请一尊玉卧佛，拟送祝生寺供养，传到新街住观音亭，故夫马到鸡足山，以物件太多，分剩300余托，独有玉佛太重，马不能认，故不出人，暂奉于观音亭。到后数年，乃请回山。Okay, what does he say? I set out from Penang with the scriptures for transport, arriving at Rangoon after an ocean trip. Layman Gao Wanbang came to receive me. I stayed at the family residence for more than a month. He personally escorted me as far as Mandalay. Okay, now, while in Rangoon, Layman Gao commissioned a jade reclining Buddha, intending to offer it to Zhushang Monastery up in Yunnan. When the ship reached Xin Street, we stayed at Avalokiteshvara Pagoda Pavilion. Pack horses were hired to carry the load up to Jizushan. Too many items. They were divided into 300 loads. Only the jade Buddha was too heavy. The horses couldn't bear it, nor could anyone be hired to manage it. So I sent it to Avalokiteshvara temple. Only after some years were we able to bring it back to the mountain. So thank you, Mr. Gao, for giving me something that I can't possibly transport. You're, gongda wuliang, what do you say? So, okay, jade Buddha images. What is a jade Buddha image? These are especially wonderful Buddha images that are unique to Burma. Here's what they look like. CTTB, by the way, has several very wonderful jade Buddhas that were given to Shifu. They're in the Medicine Buddha Hall. So this one's in full lotus, not half lotus. You can see the jade is aged. Also, sometimes when they're carved, the faces don't turn out well. This is, anybody know where this one is? Anybody rented? Yufo-si, Shanghai Yufo-si. This is the one in Shanghai. 就是上海玉佛寺的玉佛. And there's an entire, you could say, one of Shanghai's most famous monasteries. There's Longhua Si, there's Yufo Si, there's Jing'an Si, right? This is the Buddha at Jade Buddha Monastery. You can see it's just spectacular, in full lotus. The Buddha is the touching the ground mudra, where he says, the earth will certify that I am the Buddha. This is the moment that Mara is defeated. So this is a jade Buddha, and typically they look like this. The one that Mr. Gao gave to Master Empty Cloud was a reclining jade Buddha. Sometimes you can get small ones and big ones, but the standard jade Buddha that the Mahayana tends to like looks like this. Right? You can find them in Buddhist monasteries around the world, but this is how they look, and pretty much always touching the ground. One reason is, this is a solid jade boulder. This is carved from a rock, and the mudra where he's touching the ground is pretty stable. The fingers don't break. So, and it's you have to carve it in a way that it won't fall apart. Here's another jade Buddha. Okay, so because I aspire to be compassionate, I have provided for you all a website where you can order your very own jade Buddha. Here it is. This is the website, Bai Yu Wang Enterprise, and you can reach him online, click on your line link, or call him, and they will provide you with a 33-foot jade Buddha. and they'll tell you where which rock it comes from. Here it is. Look at the size of this. So, Mr. Gao Wanbang, probably gave Master Empty Cloud something just like this. Okay, now get it up to Jizushan. You still have, 500 miles to travel with it, right? So, here it is. Spectacular. This is a reclining jade Buddha. And you can order your very own. There it is. Here's the website. Let's see here. Here we are. That's what it looks like. I mean, spectacular, right? So what does it say? Here's the explanation. And it's 玉之缅甸白玉遗迹, first class jade stone. 产品金额 33 feet long, 4.3 feet tall. 白玉佛产于缅甸北部，白玉产量极少，而以大型玉质遗迹，白玉更是取得不易120吨。200 tons. Okay, 原始一人工取出后, it starts out with a 200-ton boulder that they start working on. 一尊卧佛以40还是45尺白玉原石. The original, to get to a 33-foot Buddha, you start with a 40-foot rock, and then you start carving away, right? So 每天60人分3班制来调课, 60 workmen. Divided into 3 groups, work around the clock. 更是请国家级佛像雕刻大师来调刻卧佛. This company will invite a first-class Buddha carver to come and work on the stone. 法相庄严圆满. The Dharma quality, the image of the Buddha is perfection. 一尊卧佛需要2-3年 takes 2 to 3 years to finish it. 缅甸白玉具有6至7级硬度. The stones are 6 or 7 on the stone hardness scale. There's a way to measure how hard your stone is. 与宝石硬度相当。缅甸也以出产蓝宝、红宝、玉等宝石闻名. There are other gems found inside white jade, so traces of red and green gemstones. 故以白玉里常发现红、蓝宝藏于白玉里面. It's 白玉石里. So the white jade contains other kinds of gems. 白玉是不受天气的影响. Weather does not affect white jade. The stones are essentially permanent. Heat, moisture, cold doesn't. So moisture doesn't make it, doesn't change it. Cold doesn't make it shrink. 出现龙什么意？龟蝶. Okay. 出现. Okay. There are striations that appear in it. 也具有滋养及辟邪功能. It repels evil energies. So it's good luck. 故能为正寺之宝而代表上. It will bring good luck to your monastery or your home, I suppose, if you're, gonna do that. So here it is. Here's the website. This is a real thing. You can actually order a jade Buddha. Take delivery in 2 and 3 years. Okay, so what do you do when somebody makes this offering to you of a wonderful jade Buddha, and he said, well, Master Empty Cloud's solution was to park it at Guanyin Temple and say, we'll come back for it, which he did after a couple of years. Okay, that's the first of our 2 stories today. There's another story coming. Are you ready? I'm not going to make commentary. I'm just going to let the story speak for itself. 牛求救 图改业, helping an ox gain deliverance, and a butcher changes profession. Still the same year, 当李腾岳与万寿寺与提督张颂林座谈，忽来黄牛跪面前，眼垂泪，宣养生途者多人至，共向纽约，汝欲生，须皈依三宝，牛点首，未说三皈依，女主是改业let's see， 牛主是改业，皈依常斋，君们教为殿用。Reaching the town of Tongyue, the master stayed at Wanshou Temple. One day, as the master sat and talked with the provincial governor, Zhang Songlin, a yellow ox suddenly appeared. Shedding tears, it knelt down before the master. A butcher named Yang Shengchang and several others came running along after the ox. The master said to the ox, "If you want to live, take refuge with the three jewels." The ox nodded its head and subsequently heard the three refuges ceremony. The butcher who owned the ox vowed to change his profession. He also took refuge and became a vegetarian. The governor recommended him for a job in a store. There's a story for you. Now, these kind of things happen when you have a teacher the caliber of Master Empty Cloud, who by his virtue moves the hearts of oxen and the men who make their living killing and selling the meat of oxen. And he's talking to the imperial governor to say at this time. So, okay, now let's dissect, let's examine some of these elements. The cow runs in, interrupts the conversation between the monk and the governor. The butcher comes running in after the cow, sees the cow kneeling on the stones, on the tiles in front of the monk, of course, and the governor. So he doesn't dare, grab the ox and take it back. Master Empty Cloud speaks directly to the animal and says, "You want to live? Take refuge." The cow nods his head. And so the cow proceeds to listen to the refuge ceremony, and we have some details in the biography, in the autobiography. Okay, the butcher sees what is going on, drops his knife. How does the phrase go? 屠夫狼刀，立地成佛，是不是? So as soon as the butcher drops his butcher knife, he can become a Buddhist on the spot. So he does, he takes refuge. The governor, knowing that the guy has now given up his livelihood, says, "I'll give you a job." "Well done," he says. There you go. What a story. Brian, you got to make this a song, right? 以羊易牛宣王心，恩己亲受正诗人。孟轲闻此千里志，黄牛归依万古新。Substituting an ox for a sheep, Emperor Shren showed his kindness. That's an old classical reference story from Chinese history. Showing empathy for even birds and beasts, he governed with humaneness. If Mencius had heard about this event, he would have traveled 1,000 miles. A yellow ox takes refuge, a rarity over 10,000 years. Okay, let's get to the autobiography to fill in some details. Okay, where's time? Okay, here's some details I left out of the previous story. Take a look here. 高居士留此40余天，亲自料理，施财施力，成为难得。人马同行，几级千众，进通越，下灌歌阵，多成地方结迎接。在路上数十日，人马平安。独有下关进大理时，虎类殿交坐，洱海坡腾， 运气变幻，坐其景而无语，至司门，行迎经大殿，安托，乃大狱滂沱。次日，仍大放清。let's see here，先为洱海牢笼，来迎藏经也，应该是吧？龙王出来欢迎了。世事云贵宗嫉妒京西，奉谕派员到达里，率官审经之，扬藏，目睹私事，统赞佛法无边。因为我念的磕磕巴巴的，所以大家还听不懂吧？需要翻译人帮忙。So Layman Gao remained for 40 days, personally managing everything, giving money and strength, truly devotion, real rare devotion. The caravan of men and horses numbered nearly 1,000, passing through Tangchong, various towns of Shaguan, welcomed warmly by the local people. On the road for several dozens of days, all men and horses were safe. Only when proceeding from Shaguan into Dali did a sudden thunderstorm and lightning break out. The waters of Arhai surged. Clouds changed shape in wondrous ways, yet no rain fell. Okay, what are we talking about? We are talking about, let's see here, Google Maps, Jade Buddha statue, Dali. Here is Dali, Arhai. Just a moment. Let's see here. Earlier today, Pagan, Mandalay, Pagan. Let's see here. Pagan. Okay, all right. Let's go to Dali. Here is Arhai, right there. And Dali is down at the bottom. So you can see Arhai. Let's see if we can find some photos. There we are. This is where we're talking about. Master Empty Cloud was traveling when this lake started to put out rainbows and huge waves, but no rain. And everybody who saw it said, the dragons have come to welcome the Tripitaka. Right? So this is a real body, an amazing body of water, famous Arhai, but when you see the mountains surrounding it, and the 300 horses and 1,000 men show up to, right? Okay, you got the image. No rain fell. We reached the monastery gates. The great ceremony to welcome the scriptures was completed safely. At that moment, when the Tripitaka was moved into the temple, torrential rain pouring down. Next day, brilliant sunshine. The old dragon of Arhai came out to welcome. Okay, so everybody saw it. The governor general of Yunnan and Guizhou sent officials. They all witnessed these incredible weather miracles that were happening. Everybody witnessing it says, Buddha Dharma is amazing indeed. In Dali, we rested for 10 days. From Shaguan to Zhaozhou, we reached Binshan County to Zhusheng Monastery. The entire journey was peaceful. Not a single drop of rain fell onto the Tripitaka. The scriptures were enshrined in the repository precisely on the 30th day of the 12th month during the incense offering. The multitudes rejoiced with unparalleled delight. The work of bringing the scriptures to the monastery was brought to conclusion. 清净是至此告一段落. All right? So, here we go. If you have virtue and blessings, you can do things like this. even though you might be a penniless monk with a rag robe on your back. Pretty amazing. Okay, now, our second story has some details as well. 当晋腾冲万邦寿4时，正欲提击张松林座谈，忽一黄牛 ，OK，碰日座前 he mentions that the ox ran into the reception room, 跪下 and it knelt in front of me, 双目流泪 the cow was crying. This yellow ox, tears were streaming from its eyes. 随后牛主杨盛畅几多人至 Following it was the butcher with his helpers, several of them. 杨以杀牛为业者 He was a butcher who killed cows for a living. 我向牛曰 I said to the cow, 汝欲逃生 If you want to live, 须皈依三宝 You have to take refuge with the three jewels. That's the wrong 皈 character. 牛点手 The cow nodded its head. 为气说三皈依 So I said I gave the formula. 皈 It's not that 皈 三皈 皈 There. 三皈依 Okay. So then I 令牛起立 I told the cow to stand up. 顺如人 it behaved just like a person. It followed all my instructions. 以金求牛主 So I said, I will buy the cow back with gold. I said to the butcher, let me buy this cow with gold. The butcher said, I don't want your money. 感思义士 The butcher had a human heart. He saw what happened. He was deeply moved. 且是改业 He said, I'm not going to kill any more animals. 请皈依 He said, can I take refuge too? He said, 并常素 I'm going to be a vegetarian from now on. 将军们感知 Mr. Zhang, both the governor and the military generals who were there were deeply moved. 赵魏商店勇 gave a job to the butcher who had changed his heart. The ox nodded his head. I recited the three refuges. When I told it to rise, it stood up and it behaved as tame as a person. I offered gold to compensate the owner. He refused to take it. Deeply moved by the extraordinary event, he vowed to change his trade, requested to take refuge, and maintain a lifelong vegetarian diet. Commander Zhang, okay, Zhang was the military commander, was moved and immediately hired him to work in his shop. Whew. Okay. Pretty amazing. Furthermore, you know what else happened that year? Cixi Taiho died. So did the emperor. That was the same year that, here we go, right here. On October 21st, the emperor passed away. On October 22nd, Cixi Taiho passed away. So, 那个地崩 Cixi Taiho 崩 So that was a big year. That was 20. What year was it? 1909. The imperial China that had been working for 5,000 years had 2 more years before the Republic began. Republic of China, the Chinese Revolution, happened in 1911 when Guofu Sun Zhongshan established the Republic. So there's only 2 more years of the very, very last Chinese emperor, Puyi. And he was, at that point, there wasn't much of an empire left to preserve. So imperial China came to an end at this time, and a butcher saw a cow take refuge with a Buddhist monk, set down his cleaver, and vowed to become a vegetarian. All right, how about that? Pretty amazing. stories. Okay, whew. Let us continue next week. There are more amazing stories to come. We'll dedicate merit right now. And imagine making our human virtue is just people who use their bodies and minds in a way that allows the light to shine. I asked Shervu, I said, Shervu, what we heard that Master Empty Cloud could convert, make people believers from behind. You just didn't have to see his face and you were moved. I said, Shervu, what is that? Shervu said, it's just light. 就是一种光明吧，就是一种光明. Virtue is light of your nature uncovered. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. And before we go, we can bow to Guanyin Bodhisattva. Okay, you're welcome to join. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. That'll do it for us for this week. See you all next Saturday and Friday. Amitofo. Bye, everybody.